It is I, your teacher. So this demo is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. I hope I don't jinx that. I want to review all the tools that we covered right before break. Remind you of some of the tips and intricacies of the MudBox. And then do the worst walkthrough of making the beast. Basically, each one of these I'm going to touch on for like a minute. But the principle will be there. You just need to spend couple minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes on each one of these steps. So, to review, we have MudBox. Hello, we have MudBox open. We're gonna go to File, New Scene. I'm just gonna start with a cube just to kind of demonstrate everything. Okay, so a couple of steps we want to get started. Number one, we're definitely going to want to make sure we're on mirror mode. It can mirror the world or local X. Your choice on how you like to do it. I'm going to start with local X. I'm going to start with my sculpt tool. And remember, my brush is really tiny right now. So I'm going to hold B and make it bigger. My strength is pretty strong, so I'm going to hit M and make it smaller. That line that you see going up and down, that's the strength tool. All right, with mirror engaged, I'm just going to grab these two bits and I'm kind of making some horns. Whoops. Now, undo gets a little tweaky. My brush is too big. Let's make that smaller. Keep missing. Oh, let's keep going here. Changing my size. Yes, there we go. Pull that out more and more. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it to the point where it gets too triangly, and I can start adding a subdivision layer. So, but that's sculpting. If I wanted to sculpt inward, like let's say I wanted to make some eye sockets, I'm going to make this a little weak, M and B, make this a little bit smaller and weaker. And let's press Control. Let's say I want to make some eye sockets. There's some, right? There's some divisions. Whoop. That was a little too deep. Let's get even smaller. Now, it's hard to make some details here, right? This is very pixely. One more thing I wanted to talk about before I talk add subdivision. Shift for smooth. So you do have the smooth tool right over here. But if I hold Shift, it will automatically kick into smoothing. Now, what's happening with this grainy look that you're seeing, this is a low subdivision level. There are some base subdivision levels, but I need to add some more here. So I'm going to hit, I can go here to mesh, and if I forget the hotkey, it's Shift D, which I often have. So I'm going to hit Shift D, and now it's giving me more faces. It just magnified it. Careful, if you get too high and have too many subdivision levels, you're going to really slow down your machine here. So now I have a lot more to work with, faces wise. Oops, and I want to get that, yeah. There you go. And then Shift for smooth. If my smooth is too weak, I'm going to go here, click on my smooth tool and add some more. All right. And let's go back and sculpt right. Oh, I'm going to hit Control. Control inverses it. There we go. Shift for smooth. Get that all mellowed out. Sure, this can be his eyes. And then I can give him some eyebrows. Again, that's way too strong. Go away. And then a little bit weaker. Give him some eyebrows. Sure. Give him a nose. Yes. Right? And Shift for smooth. So I can go up levels. I can add some more divisions and really kind of smooth. Oops. Really smooth this out. Shift key. All right. So that's some basics. Sculpting, pull, control, inverts, whatever tool you're doing. So control inverts, brush and strength. Definitely be modifying those always. Shift for smooth. Let's see. Oh yeah, make sure you're mirroring. And there's other ways you can. There's other options down here. Be careful with using stamps. I like to use stamps with imprint. I don't like to use stamps with sculpting. Be careful as you're choosing them. I'll get to that in a second. And then there's also like this thing called a fall off. You can kind of change the way the brush is touching it. There's different types, and there's different ways of approaching it. You can change that. That's some deep level stuff though. All right, so coming back here, I'm just gonna you don't have to start with one of the base shapes they give you. You can really kind of sculpt out a lot if you just keep sculpting in the right direction of what you want to do, right? You can see I can start to add these appendages. I don't know if I want to do this with this guy. Sure, right? Let's see. Go back to my list. All right. Oh yeah, a couple other things. All the other Maya features are there. If you wanted to select your object completely, which sometimes you need to do, you go to this tab right here called Select Move Tools, and I can hit Object. If I wanted to move it, I hit Translate, and now I can grab it and move it forward or back. I can move it up and down. If I wanted to scale it, I can. If I wanted to scale it, I can now make it a little bit longer, a little skinnier, right? Let's see. That's all I want to do there. Go back to sculpt. Kind of stick in the sculpting mode here, and that's basically it. We will kind of play with other tools here. I know what I wanted to show you was adding layers. So we're gonna add another subdivision. Shift D. Just added to level 7. Now it's got a lot of. Let me deselect it here. I'm gonna hit Object, click off it. Now it's not selected. Now if I go to Sculpt here and zoom in, you'll notice I'm kind of really maxing out these faces. I can add a layer, a new layer, and I can call this like details. And now if I wanted to kind of go to my knife, make my brush way smaller, make it way stronger, I can start to cut my knife here, right? Like that. Give them like those. Oop, I didn't mean to get into his legs. Undo and undo. I got a little too carried away there. Click off, undo, click off. There you go. Just kind of get there, right? One more, right? Give them those like little Thanos things, and then go back here to smooth. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Kind of soften those edges. So there's lots of different tools you can play with here. I can add another layer. Let's say I wanted to add some texture. So this one I can call texture. And I can play with like the imprint tool. And let's say I wanted to, instead of this smooth, I just wanted to kind of rough everything up. I can grab some of this texture, and if I hit this stamp, boop, I give it this, oh, that's way too strong. Let's undo that. Make the strength way smaller. There might be some strength here that I'm going to add to. I can also randomize it, which is interesting. Just give it a oop. And if I click and hold, it adds this nice little texture to that. And then if I smooth it, you can see where I'm going. I can kind of just start applying and just making it look like, just to mess it up. There's a whole bunch of stamps you can play. You can also load and download some stuff. Don't get too carried away finding the perfect stamp, like that's a rocky texture. If I go to a leaf, but just do a little. Oh, and then Control will make it an imprint. We'll push it in. So there's my leaf stamp. There's my other stamp, and then just kind of give them some bumps and bruises or texture or zombie. So, whoops, didn't mean to make them that big. But not that one, but this one looked pretty good. There, right? Again, if I don't like it, I can turn it off with this little button here, or I can just delete it. Goodbye, texture. All right. So, with that, I've shown you how to use the layers. You can adjust the strength of layers. You can create these meshes. Command Z is a little tricky. Shift for smooth, B brush hole, and strength for M, and moving and scaling and rotating. All right, and adding divisions, Shift D, and then I can also page up and page down between them depending on my RAM or speed. So if I decrease that, it kind of simplifies it back into this less poly model, or I can raise it up depending on how zoomed out I want to be or how close I want to be. All right, so that was just my little practice, and this one's going to be even worse. Okay, so first step. Your end game is to use the basic head and make a wonderful monster face. Frankenstein, Swamp Thing, a vampire, some zombie, go crazy. make it look really ugly. Go crazy with it. Um, you can use a Tyrannosaurus. You can use the bull. You can even use the human, but don't go crazy on the head. But definitely try to transform it away from this. So I'm still on. I'm going to turn off that. I'm going to still go to sculpt. I'm going to, let's see, how's my strength? I'm going to turn down my strength a little bit. I'm still on local. I'm on my sculpt, right? I'm just going to try and give him a little bit more body. Um, Definitely going to, yeah, get him a little wider. Maybe give him wings. Keep sculpting that out, right? Work on his mouth. I don't like, he looks too cute. This soft nose. So I'm going to make this brush a little smaller. I give him more of a beak-like type thing. I'm getting to this triangle point, right? So step one, oh, I didn't, duckbill platypus territory here. One more. Come on. Yeah, more like that. Yes. Yes. I know I messed up his hand. I know I grabbed his hand there. Making him look a little more evil, if you will. A little stronger. A little bit more. Now, when you get to this textly part, that's telling you probably want to raise your subdivisions. So I'm going to hit Shift D. And you want there. Ah, that's looking good. Making progress. Get this up here more. Get that in the middle. All right, and then Shift for smooth. You're going to hear me say that a lot as I go. All right, so spend some time. Like I said, I'm not going to go crazy here. Spend some time sculpting, tweaking, and getting that perfect amount of subdivisions. Definitely don't go over 7. I'm going to try to keep mine really low just because my computer crashed while recording. I got too many things going on. All right. Then you're going to make another layer. This is where the magic comes in, right? Similar to like Photoshop. I'm going to make a sculpting layer. So make sure you're under sculpt. Hit sculpt here. And now I'm going to call this one details. Details. And now I'm going to sculpt some eye sockets. So I'm just going to hit control. Those are way too big. Something like that. And give it like a little Shift for smooth. Now, that's still very triangle-y, right? So good thing I noticed now. If I hit Shift D while I'm on my adjustment layer, it doesn't like that. It goes back to here. It gives me this error message. So I'm going to trash that. I'm going to go Shift D here. I want to get up to like, let's go. 4 is good. Let's just test this out before I go to my layer. Oop, that's looking much better. All right. So I'm going to add a new layer now. And now when I Shift D in here. Oh, sorry, not Shift. Control click. Yes. This nice little eye socket. Maybe make it even smaller. Not as strong. That's a pretty strong push in there. Like this beak-like. Yeah. So these are details. Maybe a horn. So I'm going to make a bigger brush. A little stronger. And go curve. Oop. Didn't want to get that far. Let's go horn. Yeah. Just keep getting those out. And then, ooh. Sure. Get more of the wings going. Maybe go to the tail. Give him that, like, more of a serpent tail or the spiked tail. Something like that. And then when you get a little too bumpy, you hit Shift. And Shift will smooth it out. So you're going to have some fun here. So those are the details. Again, not spending a whole lot of time, but the wonderful part is you can add abstracted. There's also this slider here. You can also decrease how much those details take effect. But you're probably just going to keep these up. Just keep sculpting, right? All right. So once again, give me back to my Chrome. There we go. So the detail layer. So sculpt it, get a nice good body shape, then add details. Teeth, horns, eye sockets, fingernails, scales even. You can get really you can spend a lot of time carving out scales. But let me show you the next level, right? So then you're going to make another layer, and you're going to call that texture, right? So this is where you can play with the stamps. You could use stamp with the sculpt tool. Let me just show you how that would work. So if I go to this little coral thing, so now careful, my sculpt is now going to be sculpting coral rather than just grabbing. Make my brush a little bit bigger. And there, it's making this like coral type pattern. There's all sorts of stuff. There is a lizard scale or mud scale type thing happening. And then if that's too much, again, shift for smooth. You can kind of mellow that out if you don't want it that textury. You could also hit control and push it inward. Ooh, that's looking good, right? Now it's like, ugh, yeah. Oh, go that way. Yeah, right? Give me this nice little gnarly texture thing. Have fun, play with the strengths. You can also have it randomize its attack pattern. There's other things you can do here, right? Feel free to, on the texture layer especially, I didn't call it texture. I'm going to go up here and say texture, right? And what am I doing? Oh, I'm adding some foam, which is giving it a lot more volume and shape. Like I can really kind of expand him out by adding some foam. That really puts more in there, right? So have some fun making the beast. Play with the claws a little bit, see what you can reshape. All right. Now you can make another layer. Make another layer, and this could be, you can call this asymmetrical. Asymmetrical stuff, right? So maybe I want to give him, let's go back here. I'm going to turn off my stamp. Don't forget to do that. So make sure you get rid of your stamps here by pressing off or uncheck use stamp image. And I'm going to give him, I'm going to turn off local X to just completely off. And I'm going to give him, sure, that was a little too strong. Let's do a little bit less. Oh yeah, that's really strong. You know, I just want to give him like some warts. Just some different thing, you know. Not everything has to be, all right. Just give him some more, whatever it is, right? I can also maybe grab and break one of his, or give, ooh, that was too much. Undo, undo, click off, undo, click off, undo, click off. All right, grab, bigger brush. Oh, it's too strong, way too strong. So let's say make one of my horns go a slightly different direction, something like that. I could try to make these more pointy with a pinch, right? Just to kind of make them look different. There. Wonderful. Okay. Give them some scraggly teeth. Don't make every single tooth symmetrical, right? It's a monster. It's a beast. I'd still be working on this. So an asymmetric, and then if you don't like it, you can turn it off and they all come back, right? So I've got all of this here. When you are done, you have added the asymmetrical details. You could combine objects. Let me just show you how to do that. So if I wanted to make eyeballs, you don't have to. You wanted to sculpt something else and stick it in there. That is just like in Maya. You can hit mesh. You got to go select everything that you're doing. So you're going to select the object here, and you're going to go to mesh, and you're going to go to combine meshes, and it'll bring everything together. But I don't have any of that right now. That's extra. You don't have to do that part. All right. When you're done, when you feel like you're done, make sure you save, right? And make sure you're saving at a place you can not break Maya, which is what happened. I'm going to call it Beast 1, even though it's like Beast 5, right? I'm going to do another one. I'm going to call it Beast. I'm going to call it Retopo. Well, that's just good practice. So I've done a lot right here in this details, and there's just some interesting mesh happening. So I have it selected. I can go to Edit. Excuse me. I can go to Mesh, and I can choose Retopologize, New Operation. The base settings are great. If you wanted to try and mess around with them, that's fine. You're going to lose your detail later. This is why I did a Save As, and I'm going to hit Retopologize. Don't crash, please. And you'll see it. Oh, you can't see it. Let me raise this up a little bit. There you go. It's doing its thing. It's thinking. It's going to resculpt everything here. Rainbow wheel bad. I might have to freeze and start this over. I had my layers too high. It's going to break. So what you just saw was a crash, but then once I stopped recording and turning on my little helper, which does definitely eat up my graphics card, the Retopo filled in some blanks here for the geometry and kind of resculpted it and kind of simplified it a little bit, which is just good practice. So anyway, you're going to do a better job than this, but those are all of the steps. So last thing to send it into Maya is if Maya is installed well on your computer, you may have this wonderful feature, and we do have it on the Classroom Labs, where you have file and you can send it to Maya into a scene, right? Mine doesn't have that, and so you might not have that either. So let me show you the other way. So I don't have a send to MudBox, so they're not talking to each other right now. I'll explain why I have those two spheres up in a second. But just to go back here, how do you get it into Maya to spin? So you can't animate here. You can't play blast here. If you're really desperate and you wanted to turn a screen grab, you could do a Command Shift 4 and go ahead and give me a screenshot. If you're on a Mac, on a PC, just print screen. But you could also make sure it's selected. So I'm going to go back here and select my object. Boop. And I'm going to go up top. I'm going to hit File. And I'm going to choose Export My Selection. So that's selected because it's bright yellow. So remember, you have to go to this tab here, choose Object. I'm going to export that selection. You could do it. You can export this. I'm going to export it to my desktop. And FBX is fine. FBX will be working with most game systems and other things and Autodesk. But you can also just do an OBJ file. Either way. I'm just going to do an Autodesk FBX and call it Beast Export. And now it'll be in Maya. It's going to be huge. It's going to be a giant, massive scale. We're just going to shrink that down. And by moving these, I spoiled. And it's importing right now. Big bucks, no whammies. Come on. Really, bro? There you go. Ah, and now it's in. All right. Big bucks, no whammy. There it is. All right. And so it's way too big. So go ahead and shrink that down. And you'll notice how much geometry is there, right? There is a way to select less geometry, but we're going to just leave that as is. And we'll talk. This is why. You can, if you wanted to add a Lambert, change a color, you can select as an object, right click, assign favorite material, Lambert, and go ahead and choose whatever color you want. Green, probably, because it's a reptile. And if I click off, there you go. You got a nice green little lizard here. So when you are done and ready, you just go to frame number 1, press S, just how we did it in the good old days. Go to frame 120 and give it a twirl, or you can just type in under rotate Y, you can type in 720. 720. Right click, key selected. If auto key is not turned on, right click over the play button, play blast options. Make sure you send it to a spot that you know you can find, and you can call it ADV underscore beast and your last name. Right? Hit save, hit play blast. Oh, I had it selected. One more time. Woo, hi. And then go back to Maya. There you go. Keyframe. Now play blast it. Options. One more time. It's going to say, do you want to override it? I'm going to say, yeah, that's what I want to do. So ship it into Maya. This is going to be, oops, close you. Is this one healthy? Yes. There's my face. That's how you're going to do it. So if you wanted to twirl it, it has to go back into Maya. If send to Maya is not working, you're going to export it as an OBJ or an FBX, your call. You'll notice it's got a lot of geometry. I'll talk about the ups and downs for that in class and how to reduce that. But for right now, that is fine. You got a nice little monster lizard. Again, a little bit better than this, but you've got it. Just to kind of quickly, ask me about these later. Okay. That's it.